What's up, Go community? On this episode of the Gaming Outsider podcast, Zach and I will be talking about cheat codes in video games. You remember cheat codes, right? In news, there's a lot to talk about with the Game Awards, including the name of the new console from Microsoft. Yes, you heard that correctly. Zach and I also played the new Shovel Knight game called King of Cards, which has been a pretty big surprise for both of us. And happy Star Wars week, everybody. This is the Gaming Outsider. Greetings, programs, and welcome to episode 275 of the Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community. It's Monday, December 16th. I'm your host, Scott Clark, and I'm joined, as always, by my fellow co-hosts. First off, a guy who is going to be seeing Rise of the Skywalker 2.5 hours later than me, Mr. Zach Parkerson.
That's the length of the movie.
Well, not counting previews, man.
Sure.
I'll be in the final act by the time you start the previews. We'll say that.
Hey, but it should... I can't wait to text you when you're going to bed all about it.
Yeah, it's going to be... I figured that you and I are going to be up for wee hours of the evening discussing how that movie ends. You think?
I hope so. Yeah, I hope it's worth discussing.
I hope so, too.
I always thought we'd just leave and go like, yeah, it was okay.
Yeah. Well, at the risk of turning into the Star Wars podcast once again, we'll move past it. But yes, it is Star Wars week. I am so excited to see how this whole thing wraps up. The trilogy of trilogies comes to a close this weekend, right. And I'm very stoked. Also, CB is not here this week. Unfortunately, he has to work, so you're stuck with just Zach and I. But I like talking with Zach.
Yeah, you're not terrible either, Scott.
Oh, look at that! I'm gonna get to see you in a couple of weeks, aren't I?
Yeah, I'll be in Rockford for the holidays.
All right,
meet up with the crew, get some brews.
You know, I'm gonna be on Christmas break from school. You're going to be in town. I feel like at least one of those nights we have to get together and just enjoy lots and lots of beverages and play some couch co-op games or something.
Yeah, wouldn't it be nice to play some video games together?
We should. We never do. We have the internet and we still don't play video games together.
Right.
You know, somebody was supposed to play Borderlands 3 with me and that never happened.
Did you even play Borderlands 3?
I did. We played it just enough to talk about on the show and then we stopped because we're like, well, we got to wait for Zach. And then we never played it again.
Well, no one texted me about it, all right?
You didn't have the game yet.
Jeez.
Nothing like a guilt trip. Merry Christmas, man.
Yeah, well, 'tis the season for guilt trips. There's no question.
Well, speaking of Christmas, we got a couple quick announcements to make. This is going to be the last regular episode of 2019. We're going to do a couple things bonus for the last 2 weeks because we all need a break. Going to be honest with you guys, the work that we've been putting into this has been taxing on some of us. And we're going to take a couple weeks off. So with that said, next week we're not going to have a regular episode, but we are going to be putting together a collection of some of our best interviews. I've been speaking with Nate, our producer, and he has basically pieced together some of our best interviews over the course of the year and put them all in a single episode as a kind of like a little Christmas gift, I guess, for you guys. I know it's you've all heard it before, but there's some new listeners that haven't, and we didn't want to leave you hanging and not release anything, but we wanted to put something out there, and we got some good ones. I think we're going to have Roger Craig Smith on there. We're going to have Patricia Somerset, and who else do we have? I'm drawing a blank on the other one. John St. John is going to be our third one. So if you have not heard those interviews, you will get an opportunity next week, and they're awesome. Would you agree?
Yeah, that guy's got balls of steel.
We don't even need the interview. We got him right here.
Come into the studio.
The week after that, we're going to do another bonus episode, as it were. We're going to recap some of our best from the outside in topics over the past year. We've kind of been speaking about which ones were our favorites. We're going to put them all in one episode just so you can kind of have something to listen to while we take a break. And I hope you guys don't go anywhere. We will be coming back in the new year, coming out strong with our Game of the Year episode, because, you know, we're going to wait till the end of the year to do our Game of the Year episode.
You actually let the year wrap up before you decide what the best games of it are?
Yeah, and you know, everyone's saying, well, you know, there's no games coming out. We're still playing new games.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that the ones that I'm playing are necessarily contenders for top 10, but there's still games coming out. People talk like it's just a barren wasteland. So yeah, we're waiting to do our Game of the Year episode till we come back, and we're gonna be bringing back Grant Henry, who does our music. He's gonna be coming back to basically moderate that discussion, as it were. I'm looking forward to it. It's one of my favorite episodes we do every year.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It is. I feel like I have a pretty good idea what our number one game of the year is going to be, but we'll get there.
Yeah, you know what? I am not as certain.
I feel pretty confident.
Okay. Well, that's intriguing.
Yeah.
We should get him to moderate our big games of the decade.
We should have. Although that was shorter. It was only 5, so it was.
Yeah. But it'd still be fun if he correlated a list for us.
So you think we should do like a top 10 like we do for the game of the year, but do top 10 of the decade and have him space it out? And
we don't get to know what each other's lists are that we send in or whatever.
Yeah, but you got to remember when we did that episode, we only did 5, right? There was only one game that was overlap between all 3 of us. So out of 15 games, only 2 of them were the same. So basically, that would come down to a game that is on at least 2 people's list is going to take it, right?
I mean, it's still interesting thought experiment. That's all I'm saying.
It is. We could just send it to him and just have him send us the results.
Yeah, I guess that's less exciting.
You're right.
You got to make a big to do about it.
Okay, maybe we could tack that in on that episode and give him that.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah, I like that.
Just like as a little aside before we wrap up for the year.
That'd be cool.
I like it. Well, Zach, thank you so much for being here, man. I'm looking forward to chatting with you. Let's go ahead and jump into the week's news. First off, it's been alluded to several weeks, but finally it's officially official. The Resident Evil 3 remake is coming. It looks very much in the vein of the Resident Evil 2 remake with a completely overhauled set of graphics and gameplay mechanics. But one thing we didn't know about it was that it was actually going to include the asymmetrical 4-on-1 multiplayer game Resident Evil Resistance, which we knew was coming. But this is going to basically be included, which I thought was interesting. Releases on April 3rd of 2020 on PC, Xbox One, and PS4. Zach, will you be pre-ordering?
Stars. That was my Nemesis impression.
That was terrible.
Thank you so much. Yeah, of course I'll pre-order this. Resident Evil 2 is a friggin' banger.
It was great.
I think I'm happy that Capcom saw the writing on the wall and put Resistance in with this.
Yeah, I thought that was a big shock. I really thought that was going to be a standalone game because they could have done that.
That game had no prayer on its own.
Possibly.
I mean, how well did Operation Raccoon City do? Or they did a multiplayer one only even a couple years ago, as well.
Yeah,
the Umbrella Corps.
Okay, Corpse.
Like it's just that's what they should have named it. Would have made more sense thematically.
Yeah.
Yeah, time has proven Resident Evil standalone multiplayer games do not work.
Yeah, but you know what? I still have no interest in Resistance. That's not a game I want to play. But
you know what? After I beat their RE3 campaign, I'll be like, well, I already paid for this other game anyway, so I may as well check it out.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're going to try it out. We got to. It's kind of it's what we do here, right?
But if it was a $60 multiplayer game, it'd be much harder sell.
Yeah, it's fair. I found it interesting that the trailer had very little of Nemesis himself. It's not like it's a surprise that he's going to be in the game. He has to be, right? I mean, that's kind of the core story of that game is this Nemesis chasing you around. But they didn't show him. Except for the very end, there was like a brief shot, like a pan up or something like that. But I don't know. I found that interesting.
Did you see what they did with the new Resident Evil 2 demo they put out? And it's only in the new demo, not actually in Resident Evil 2. But there's a part where you can walk by and you can hear Nemesis walking by, like hunting down Jill.
So that's interesting because 2 takes place at the same time as 3.
Concurrently.
Yeah.
So it's just like a nice little Easter egg thing they threw in there, I guess.
Does he say stars?
No, I do not believe so. You got to save that for the main game, man.
Oh, but that would have been made it so much better.
Sure. Then I would have to go download the demo just to hear it.
Here's the interesting thing: Resident Evil 3. I know I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this. Was probably my least favorite of the 3. I mean, I love the concept of Nemesis. You know, it was terrifying because you were so used to being able to find these safe rooms and you were fine. And Resident Evil 3 kind of like just broke that and made you terrified of going anywhere. And there was there were safe rooms, but in the previous games, as long as you made it through a door, a zombie couldn't chase you. and that changed totally in Resident Evil 3. But
I think the common opinion is that 3 is the worst of the trilogy.
Oh, really? Okay, I thought I was in the minority of that.
I mean, Resident Evil 1's historic. Resident Evil 2 is objectively the best.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, 3. I feel like 3 just kind of gets forgotten off to the side.
Yeah, I really hope this one turns me around because it looks gorgeous. I mean, it looks like Resident Evil 2. Let's be honest, the remake. But which is what I want. I want that from Resident Evil 3. So,
and I want them to do it to Code Veronica, and I'm ready for him to do it to 4.
Oh man, that's what I am secretly hoping happens next. Because as much as I love 4, those controls do not hold up anymore at all. The shoulder button thing that needs to be. I want Resident Evil 4 with the current play style. That would be amazing.
Yes, it's tough to hear that it doesn't hold up, but I understand what you're saying.
When's the last time you played it?
Again, we do this every few episodes.
Do we? Okay, all right.
I played it like a year or two ago. It's not perfect, but I think it still holds up.
But wouldn't you love to see that in that graphic, in that engine?
Yeah, I just told you I would.
I cannot wait.
After Code Veronica.
See, and I would like that one just because that's a story I've never experienced. I couldn't get through that one or Resident Evil 0. Do you think 0 deserves it too?
I don't know if it deserves it.
But
they're going to run out of ones to remake.
Well, I kind of pictured them doing Code Veronica and 0 like at the same time and putting them both on one disc. You know?
Keep dreaming it. They could possibly milk you for 60 a pop? I don't think so.
I don't think that those have as much appeal. You know what I mean?
I would pay full price for a Code Veronica remake.
You would. Yes, you would. Yeah. And several people would. But when with the numbered ones are going to sell a lot better.
Except 0.
Well, that's technically not a 0.
It's got a number.
Or not a number. It's an
integer.
Yeah. Look at this. Look at this being mathy.
Yeah. You got all schooled on you.
I know. Well, let's go ahead and talk about the big news of the week, which is the Game Awards, which took place this past week. And unfortunately, I was not able to watch them live, which is a bummer. I was actually at a symposium. I sound all scholarly, don't I? I was at a symposium.
Symposium's a big word, man.
It is.
It sounds important.
It was for a listener of the show, Vicky Calgaro, who finished the same graduate program that I did and won the same People's Choice Award that I did a year ago. So that was really cool to see. I was there to support her. So it was awesome. So shout out to Vicky, although she's more of a listener to the Hollywood Outsider than the Gaming Outsider. But
the second-rate version? I get it.
Well, she's not a big gamer. She's a big movie buff. But let's go ahead and first off go over these the actual awards themselves. Several awards took home multiple awards, but I'm going to run through these really quickly, Zach, and then feel free to comment as we go through. First off, Death Stranding won Best Game Direction, Best Performances from Mads Mikkelsen, and also Best Score and Music. Disco Elysium was the big one. Took away 4 awards: Best Narrative, Fresh Indie Game, Best Role-Playing Game, and Best Independent Game. The big one, probably the biggest surprise for me, was Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice, which maybe it's a surprise because I haven't played it, but Best Action Adventure Game and also Game of the Year. That
was a surprise. That was a big surprise.
Definitely a big surprise. Smash Brothers got Best Fighting Game. Modern Warfare got Best Audio Design. Fire Emblem Three Houses, Best Strategy Game. Also got Player's Voice. Control got Best Art Direction. Devil May Cry 5, Best Action Game. Gree got Games for Impact. Luigi's Mansion 3, Best Family Game. Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled got Best Sports or Racing Game. Call of Duty Mobile, Best Mobile Game. Apex Legends, Best Multiplayer Game. Beat Saber, Best VR AR Game. Fortnite, Best Ongoing Game. And lastly, League of Legends, Best Esports Game. So outside of the Game of the Year award there, any big surprises for you there, Zach?
I was really happy Devil May Cry 5 won Best Action because it was more than deserving. I guess the biggest surprise is Disco Elysium, which I apparently need to play.
Yeah, I want to check it out. I just don't know if, number one, if it's on Mac, and number two, if it's worth playing on Mac, or if I should just, because I hear it's supposed to come to console.
Yeah, early next year, I think, right?
Yeah, so part of me just wants to wait for a console version and see what it's about. But it's also a role-playing game, which means it's going to be 60-plus hours. And I
don't know if that's true.
No?
I hope not. Do you think that's true? I guess it is a modern in an era where Gears of War Tactic is advertising a 40-hour campaign. I guess Disco Elysium is probably long.
Is it sad that I saw that and that made me go, I really don't think I need to play that game?
I was so excited. I was like, oh, this looks great. This looks great. And I was like, 40 hours? Like, why?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't get it either. I'm confused by Beat Saber getting best VR AR game. Didn't that come out last year?
I feel like the game, it did come out last year, right? Yeah, it was on my Game of the Year
It was
list.
on mine as well. How does that happen? It's not an ongoing game. It's not a new game.
Did it come out in December?
That's what I'm wondering, if it came at the tail end like Star Wars did and it didn't make the cut last year or something.
It's just, yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Control. Yeah. Best art direction. I think that's well deserved.
Yeah. It was that or Death Stranding for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think Control deserved a couple other awards, personally.
Where would you like to have seen that? Or best action game over Devil May Cry?
Well, it would probably be an action adventure game, right?
Yes.
Just a Metroidvania. I haven't beaten Sekiro, but right now I put Control over that.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. But Matthew Peretta really deserved to win for best performance.
Okay.
As Director Darling.
You're talking about... Oh, okay, yeah.
I think that was the most memorable performance of the year for me.
That music video at the end alone was...
That alone should secure it. As I beat Death Stranding, and Mads Mikkelsen does a fine job.
Yeah.
But he does not stick in my memory like Director Darling did.
Do you think that Mads Mikkelsen's performance, again, coming from a guy that hasn't played it, was it more of a film-esque type role that he was doing? Or does that matter?
I don't know. I mean, he pretty much just monologues in every scene he's in.
Oh, okay.
So for what that's worth.
so did Darling.
Yeah, I guess so. But I don't know. Mads Mikkelsen's performance was like, oh, that's a very good Mads Mikkelsen.
Oh, okay.
You know?
By the way,
Matthew Peretta's character did not feel like past performances of his.
His character felt like he was actually that dude. Like, especially the scenes where he's talking to somebody off camera, like, are we still recording? Or he's like talking to the other scientists that are given the shift eye or whatever. It didn't feel like he was reading a script. It felt like he was actually talking to me. Yeah.
And you know what? I'll tell you what. I can't imagine anyone else doing Director Darling, but I could imagine about 100 different actors that could have done what Mads Mikkelsen said.
That's a good point, man. And yeah. I'm genuinely shocked that Death Stranding didn't take best game of the year. I really thought that was going to happen.
It does not deserve it.
I'm not saying it does. I'm just saying that I'm surprised it didn't happen.
I agree, especially with the timing of when the voting happens. It would be so fresh in people's minds.
Mm-hmm.
But I was definitely... It's nice that a game that came out relatively towards the beginning of the year, like Sekiro, could stick along. It is weird that it won like 2 categories. It's just weird to me.
Mm-hmm. I find it interesting that Disco Elysium won 4 different awards, but didn't even get nominated for Game of the Year. I wonder if that game had been nominated, if it would have won. I mean, it kind of... I mean, granted, one of them is Fresh Indie Game, which is similar to Best Independent Game. I guess I don't know the distinction between those 2 categories. So you could even technically call it 3, but Sekiro only got 1 other award outside of Game of the Year.
I feel like Disco won... Did it win every category it was in?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty telling.
It is. I mean, that alone makes me want to check out that game, and I'm not a big PC gamer. So...
Yeah,
I'm really curious.
The Game Awards this year had a very much Oscar problem where the best director did not direct the best movie of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Like the best game director somehow did not direct the best. How can it be the best directed but not be the best?
That's a really good question. I mean, that's just awards in general. I think
you're right.
People vote for it, each one independently. You know what I mean? Like you look at this category and you vote for it, and then the numbers don't lie. I mean that's how it happens.
Well, yeah, of course, yeah.
So anything can happen.
But you would think that Hidetaka Miyazaki might have won Best Game Direction for Sekiro. But I don't know. I digress.
I guess I'm curious how direction in a video game works anyway. Because when I think director of a film, I think, like lining up the shots and speaking to the actors. Is the director of a video game having their hands in all of that? And are they solely responsible?
It depends on your director. You take a Hideo Kojima, a Neil Druckmann, Last of Us, or a Yoko Taro. Mm-hmm. They probably have their hands in every single piece of the pie, or at least that's what you hear when you look behind the scenes.
Right.
But then you have other, or Cory Barlog. Like, it seemed pretty apparent that God of War was him pouring himself into every aspect.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you definitely you get that on some games, but it feels more collaborative than movies. Yes.
Right. Yeah, I will say out of all this list, the ones that I haven't played, Disco Elysium is the one that is on my radar the most. I actually bought a copy for a friend. So, from a sales aspect, the Game Awards do work to some degree. I will say I'm curious about Sekiro. I want to see what everybody's talking about, but I also have seen people struggle with that game. And I know that's not going to be a game for me, but I want to play it still.
That's not an easy game.
No, I know.
Not an easy game.
I know. I know it's going to be a lot tougher than Star Wars.
Although, I was going to say, Star Wars is a pretty good primer for the combat, though. The parry window is a little tighter, but that's about it.
Yeah.
It's pretty similar.
I'm just so terrible at those games, man. I really am awful. I mean, I know everybody struggled with Bloodborne and took, multiple tries to get through that first boss, but it did feel awesome seeing Prey slaughtered.
Yeah.
But
I think it's in Sekiro it says Shinobi Execution.
I just don't have the patience. I really don't have the patience at all. I got too many games to play to frustrate myself with one that's going to take several hours away of enjoyment of something I know I'm going to like. So I'll probably just skip it.
Just put on a podcast, man. Just zone out and kill a boss.
I don't know if I could do it, man. I don't know if I could do it. Well, the Game Awards were not only the awards themselves, but as they are most years, lots of world premieres. You like that? Is that good?
World premiere. Isn't it a lady voice now?
I didn't watch it live. Was it a female voice?
I don't know. In my head, it's a female voice.
Okay. I'm just going off of what I heard last time. So anyway, lots of trailers to talk about, but I want to start right off with the big guns. The big announcement was the new console from Microsoft, which I don't think anybody was expecting to be unveiled at this thing. Were you?
Also, side note, this should have been announced at the end of the show.
Yeah, why did they do it so early?
They really, much like we're doing in this topic, they started the show with a showstopper.
Yeah, like why wasn't that no, because they wanted to end with Fast and Furious?
Yes, which looks like a tremendous PS2 game, I admit. But this Series X, it's like, this is how you end the show. I feel like the only thing that could have topped it in terms of excitement would have been a new Arkham game.
Right, which everyone was expecting.
They expected it at every single venue.
You know what else I was expecting was Metroid Prime 4 release date, because hours before the show started, it became available for pre-order on Best Buy's website. So to me, I was like, well, we're going to see a trailer for that finally, but no.
My fingers were breaking themselves crossing, hoping for the new Rocksteady game, but yeah, I should have known better.
Anyway, let's talk about the new Xbox, which is called the Xbox Series X. It's going to be due out in holiday 2020. Outside of that, we know very, very little details. The only information that I was able to find is that the console will have, what do you call it, where you can actually stop the game and turn off the console or put it in rest mode and then come back and it's still there. Mm-hmm. You'll be able to do that with multiple games at a time.
Oh.
Which is kind of cool. I know that sounds like a really first world problem thing to deal with.
Yeah, it is.
But I kind of like that because there's sometimes I got multiple games going. I want to play Star Wars and I also want to be playing Children of Morta. And it's nice just to cycle back and forth between those. I think that's really cool. I don't know if it's a hardcore selling point, but I like it. No,
you make a compelling argument because after I've had a stressful day, I do like to just put up a couple Arkham City challenge maps and just feel good about myself. It would be nice if that was just always suspended, ready and waiting.
You get frustrated with the Sekiro boss, and you just flip it over to the other one just to feel good about yourself for a minute, and then go back.
Stomp out the Joker's goons, and
Well, I mean, we talk about this in the past, but have you ever played a boss or a game with a particularly difficult area, and you just need to step away from it a minute, and then the first time you come back and you nail it?
Yeah.
What if that time away was playing another game and making you feel empowered?
Yeah, no, You're right. It is a feature that you absolutely do not need in any way, shape, or form, but it does actually sound nice.
But I'll take it. I definitely will take it.
I will. I will not turn it away.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think of the look of this thing?
I feel like this is gonna get me roasted online, but I actually thought it looked kind of cool.
I think it looks cool too, man.
People are tearing it apart in a way that I'm like, you guys really don't like change, do you?
Well, I think the way that they unveiled it is it standing straight up, which looks like a PC tower, like a square PC tower. But it has been confirmed that you will be able to lay it on its side because people are angry that it's not going to fit in their consoles or whatever. It will fit, or not in your consoles, but in your, like entertainment centers. It will fit. You will be able to lay it on its side. The exhaust area is still on the side. It will be fine. It's just they're trying to do that for marketing reasons to make that look stand out. Because let's be honest, it is a box, but it's a cool looking box. I'm with you. I don't understand the hatred for it. I think people are like making memes of it looking like a refrigerator and whatever Arnold Schwarzenegger's weapon was in Commando that shot 4 rockets at the same time.
I think it's a quad rocket launcher.
Yeah, I think somebody, because you know how the top of the Series X has like those tiny little holes for the vents,
right? Yeah, I assume ventilation. Yeah,
and so somebody made a meme where it's that scene from Commando, but they replaced Arnold's face with Phil Spencer's face, which I thought was pretty clever. But I don't know if that's some of them aren't necessarily like malicious. I think they're just trying to make a joke. Yeah, I'm very less concerned with what a console looks like and what it does.
I agree, and
I'm not sure how I feel about the name because I feel like people like you and me aren't going to have a problem differentiating. Like, I need the Series X. I know what I know that one on the shelf is the one I already have. I know this is the one that I need. That's the one I'd like to buy. I worry about family members going in and saying, I like the new Xbox. Well, which one would you like? Would you like the Xbox One? Would you like the Xbox One S? Would you like the Xbox One X? Would you like the Xbox Series X? Which one would you like? And then these people that have no idea are going to buy the wrong one for Christmas or something like that.
To me, I was viewing it as almost like a make and model thing. Where you see, we want the Xbox, and the Series X is like the pro gamer version, or we have the Series S for the slimmer, if you have like without a disk drive or something like that, or here we have the Series C for the casuals or something like that.
I would agree with you if we didn't already have one called the Xbox One X, because that is very similar. The only different word is series instead of the letter at the end.
I don't know. We'll see. It's not as bad as the Wii U.
I will agree with you there. The Wii U, I mean, there were many people that just assumed that the Wii U was just the tablet, like as an accessory for the original Wii. Speaking
as a GameStop employee who worked there when the Wii U came out, the only question I ever got about the Wii U was like, "Oh, that's just a tablet for the Wii, right?"
Right.
Yeah.
And that's not the case at all.
No, but when you get asked your 12th time in your day, like, "Yep, that's it. Sorry."
And then they buy it. That's a really expensive accessory.
No, they don't buy it because it's too expensive. They're like, that much for a tablet? I'm like, yeah, I don't have to tell you. Look, can you just please leave me alone?
You're a great employee, man.
I guarantee you this happened everywhere.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but we only saw one game for the Xbox Series X. I think I have this accurate. And I'm jumping the gun a little bit, but Senua's Saga, which is Hellblade 2. Yes. That is going to be a release on the Series X. Holy cow, did that look really cool. Number one, if you haven't seen this trailer, go watch this trailer if you're a fan of... I really like the music. If you're a fan of metal, this is a very metal trailer in every sense of the word. If you're a fan of
seeing a woman's gum lines, also a great trailer.
That's fair. She was kind of like the whole time.
Scowling the whole time.
But what's interesting is I kept seeing comparisons of the original Senua's Sacrifice to Senua's Saga, which Sacrifice looked pretty good when that came out. That was impressive. And now showing a screenshot of what Saga looks like and then comparing it to the old one, the difference is very clear. It looks really good. I, for one, am very excited for the Series X, even though I have no idea why I'm excited.
Oh, it's the next gen. You gotta be excited.
No, I know, but
I'm excited.
I mean, basically, all we got was what it looks like and a name, and some very, very minor details, which we've already gone over. I mean,
Phil Spencer, I trust.
That's true.
He seems like a above board kind of guy.
I mean, and even though I'm more of an Xbox fanboy than I am a Sony guy, I'm still going to feel the same way about the PS5.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just intrigued because he had to salvage the Xbox One, and he actually gets to steer the ship for the Series X.
Right, and plus Microsoft, as we've said in the past, is kind of in position to come from behind, and I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with this to try to get over the top again. So,
it's very very sexual wording you're using.
Is it?
Not coming in from behind. Over going to get on top.
Wow. This podcast just got PG-13. So any final thoughts on the Series X before we move on to some of these games?
On the Series X, no. I mean, I think it looks cool. I'm excited to see what they do. They now own quite a few cool studios.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, honestly, this is not what I wanted from Ninja Theory first. It's just I didn't beat Hellblade. I need more of Senua's Story personally. But I'm sure it'll be good.
I didn't beat it either, but I've heard that game wraps up.
No, I did beat it.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you said you didn't.
I did beat it. I just do not need more of her story.
Oh, okay.
I felt like the story was told. We're done.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't live in that world anymore.
But here's the thing:
if The Last of Us needs a sequel, everything gets a sequel.
That's true. Don't get me started on that. And I say that, and I want to play Last of Us too, so I can't. I can't really complain. Same. I feel like I'm gonna have to play through Senua's Sacrifice again, just to finish it, because I got so close to the end and wasn't able to finish it.
Yeah,
because I want to see how that wraps up. But I just did not like playing that game. I liked looking and listening to that game, looking at and listening to that game, but I did not like playing it at all.
The combat was pretty weak.
Combat was weak.
That one puzzle they just use over and over again of finding the right angle.
It wasn't fun to me. It got so old that I just had them all up on, whatever website, just because I wanted to just be done with it and see where the story went.
I thought it was fun. It's just, did I need it every single time?
Right. Much like Death Stranding, that took a interesting mechanic that would have made great for a side mission and made it the entire game.
Or great for a 12-hour game.
Yeah, not a 30 or 40, 50, 60-hour game.
40 something, yeah.
I mean, to be fair, Senua's Sacrifice is only like 6 to 8, but still.
Trim these games down, man.
Seriously.
That's my soapbox.
Seriously. Well, let's go through and talk about some of the trailers that they showed at the world premiere. Is that better?
Yes. I think so. Now I can't remember.
I'm just going to run through the names very quickly, and then we'll kind of, you highlight the ones that you are interested in, I'll highlight the ones I'm interested in, we'll kind of go back and forth. Destiny 2 Shadowkeep The Dawning, which is free for everybody on December 17th, which will be tomorrow as of this recording. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 The Black Order Rise of the Phoenix DLC. It's actually got 3 new expansions, one available now, the other 2 available on the 23rd, and one in the spring of 2020. A new game called Man-Eater, which comes out on May 22nd.
Oh, it's a shark one, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it looked okay.
I thought that looked pretty fun.
Yeah.
It's silly, and I want to play it. Like, I really want to play that game. New trailer from Final Fantasy VII. We got No More Heroes 3, The Return, which is getting a 2020 release. We already mentioned Senua's Saga. Godfall, the first and only title with PS5 in the marketing. That's the first PS5 title. Bravely Default 2, coming in 2020. Warframe Empyrean, available now on PC. Not on console, Zach. I know you're really excited about that. No, you're not a Warframe guy. You're the other one.
No, I am. I'm the Warframe guy.
Is it Warframe? Okay.
Yeah.
Theros Beyond Death, which is a Magic the Gathering game. We're getting a game called Prologue, which was a very confusing, no information at all spoiler trailer, or what do you call it? Teaser trailer.
Yeah, there was definitely a tease.
Yeah, that's from PlayerUnknown Productions. We got Fortnite, which had a live Star Wars experience. All my students were talking about that at school today. Let me tell you. We got a game called Sons of the Forest. We got more League of Legends, Ruined King DLC. A new Dungeons & Dragons game called Dark Alliance, which is coming out in fall of 2020. A game called Path of the Warrior, which is available now on Oculus. Got a pretty lengthy shot of Ghosts of Tsushima, which is gotten a release date of summer 2020, which is much sooner than I was expecting that. And you mentioned earlier Gears Tactics, which is April 28th. Naraka Blade Point 2020, a game called 9 to 5. Reveal of The Wolf Among Us 2, which is very controversial because it is labeled as a Telltale game, and a lot of people are upset about that. And a game called New World, and then they closed the show with Fast and Furious Crossroads, which is coming out in May of 2020. What from this list stood out to you the most?
Well, The Wolf Among Us 2 is the excitement that probably got me the most excited.
Mm-hmm.
Love the first season. I mean, yeah, it's not technically Telltale, but how much of the staff was even left at Telltale when Wolf Among Us Season 2 was announced originally anyway?
Well, not only that, but how many people were going to be pissed if they didn't put Telltale's name on it? Hey, well, it's Telltale's property. Like, no matter what you do, somebody's going to be angry, right?
Agreed. And yeah, there's nothing saying they can't hire the writers on a contract basis or just bring them in or like they're. Yeah, that's a lot to jump to conclusion. That's probably the thing I was most excited about. I was really excited about Gears Tactic until they put up that 40+ hour thing,
which was a selling point. And you're like,
it was
nope.
Not. Yeah, it really is. Like, well, good thing it's on Game Pass because I don't know if I want to commit to that.
Right.
And then, I mean, Ghost of Tsushima looks absolutely excellent.
Oh my goodness! I heard somebody on a podcast today say that they were actually more excited for that than they were Cyberpunk 2077.
Well, I
agree 100%.
Yeah, now you had to think about it. Again, I fell asleep during that demo at E3, so
which is kind of crazy to me.
I'm not the target demo, I don't think.
No. Man, the Final Fantasy VII trailer, as if I don't need to be as if I need to be sold on that game anymore. Man, yeah. But that's coming out on the same time as the other game we were talking about a second ago. On the 3rd, Resident Evil 3. Well, it's not the same day. It's the same. It's like the month before. So that means I'm going to have to play Final Fantasy VII like in 2 weeks.
Next spring is stacked.
Yeah, which is weird.
From the beginning of March to the end of May is absolutely insane next year.
I think it starts in February, actually, doesn't it? I want to say there was a big release coming out in February, but I could be wrong. I can't come off the top of my head.
I think No More Heroes 3 had the best bait and switch of the night.
I didn't see it live. What happened?
You didn't watch the trailer either?
I watched part of it, but I don't know what bait and switch you're talking about.
Because it starts as like it looks like a cute little anime thing about a boy and this little alien that he finds.
Uh-huh.
And then he rescues the alien, and then they build a rocket ship together to send him off to space. And he's like, "I'm going to come back in 20 years to see you again. I love you, buddy." And then he comes back, and he's like a total douche. And he's like, "Yeah, I got in prison. I accidentally wiped out a solar system." He got all mad about it. And then he says like, "But I hear this world's obsessed with superheroes, so I'm here to take it over and be the best superhero." And then he's like, and then they put up on the screen like, the name of the game is Goddamn Superhero. But then Travis Touchdown comes out on his motorcycle. He's like, "Oh, you're a superhero, huh?" Like I'm gonna fight my way up the galactic rankings to take you down. And then it's No More Heroes 3.
So is this like a Devil May Cry sequel? That's what the dialogue sounds like.
I mean, that's all in line with No More Heroes ridiculousness.
I've never played No More Heroes.
Oh, really?
The way you're talking, I'm just expecting to talk about marshmallows.
No, it leans into the direct comedy a little bit more. No More Heroes. Those games are a lot of fun. I haven't played them.
PlayStation exclusive?
I think they were Wii games.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So I will not be playing those.
They ported the first one to PS3, but not the second.
Okay.
Well, yeah, they were Wii exclusives, and this is a Switch exclusive.
Interesting.
Nintendo's M-rated franchise.
That's not the black and white one, right?
No, that's Mad World.
Mad World. Okay.
Yeah. I can see why you get them mixed up, though.
Yeah, because those are like the two that should have been on the Wii. Right?
And Red Steel.
Red Steel wasn't overly gory, though, was it?
But that was definitely M-rated.
Was it? Because you're chopping people's heads off with a katana blade, right?
Especially that second one that got super weird and became a space western or a sci-fi samurai western.
Sure, what to think about that. Did you see the trailer for 9 to 5?
I think so. I do not remember it.
I feel like it was clearly taking a shot across the bow of Fortnite because it started out with like a bunch of cartoon bunnies with assault rifles jumping around and singing songs, and then all of a sudden it pans out and it's obvious that it's a television commercial or something because somebody shoots the TV, and then they back up and it's a soldier with a gun that is staring at the TV and shaking his head like, what am I watching? And then they do their soldiery thing and talk to each other in earpieces and, all right, let's roll out. And then they say open beta for 9 to 5 available soon, which to me is a battle royale game that's going to be better than Fortnite, according to them. That's how I took the trailer.
You know what? We need more battle royales, man. It's starting to dry up out there.
I agree and I disagree because I'm starting to just get tired of the formula, but that's also because I don't play them. So I'm just tired of seeing them and hearing about them because I'm not in on it. So I feel like I'm left out.
Fair.
I'm not going to play them enough get good at them. So
yes, but you know what? That Naraka Blade Point I thought looked really cool too. It was like parkour swords.
Mm-hmm.
That looked pretty neat.
Yeah, I think that looks pretty interesting. And the one that stuck out for me was that Oculus game. Oh man, what was it called? It was like a first person brawler. Boy, I'm looking at the list here trying to figure out what
Path of the Warrior.
Path of the Warrior. Did you see that one?
Yeah, I think so.
I think that looks pretty interesting. It looks like they're trying some new things with VR. I'm excited.
Oh yeah, I did see this. The Godfall was cool just because it was like, hey, we're coming to PS5.
I thought that looked legitimately interesting though too. It looked like if you took Darksiders and just like expanded on that, but made it a new IP.
They had like a brief interview afterwards, and they described it as a looter shooter, but like in the swords and sorcery setting. So that turned me off.
Oh,
because I don't care about looter shooter stuff.
You know, I do. I like Borderlands, and I liked The Division 2 quite a bit.
I don't care about 5% extra slashing damage. I just don't.
I do.
I know you do.
I want that extra 5%, man.
I'd rather have a new poncho.
I will say I have zero interest in. I can't say zero interest, but Fast and the Furious Crossroads, which you summed up pretty succinctly earlier with a good-looking PS2 game, because
it legitimately, the PS2 is being a little egregious.
I would say PS3.
It does look like a PS3 game.
Yeah,
straight up. It is. I am excited about it because every time Vin Diesel has been in a video game, it has been a good video game in my opinion.
Pitch Black or
Riddick.
Yeah,
I like Wheelman as well, but I just don't. It was a bizarre note to end the show on.
It was. I will say that I feel like the gameplay or the car sections don't look as bad as the character models, but the characters looked really bad. Like,
yes,
last gen for sure.
And
that's too bad because, like, if you've seen those movies, especially the back half of the last 8, there's some ridiculous things that go on in those games that I would like to play as a racing game.
They are prime for video games.
They really are. I mean, you watch those movies and they're basically a video game anyway. I think there's potential for that to be super fun. And maybe I can look past that, but that trailer just didn't do anything for me. It really didn't. It even had Vin Diesel on stage.
It honestly kind of tainted the whole Game Awards idea for me because, like, are we still so in love with the celebrity guest that we give them the ending of the show
and not the Xbox Series X?
Yeah, like, is that where we're still at?
Because isn't what you want people to do after the show is done to walk away talking about that last thing that you're doing?
Yeah, shouldn't you? It felt like we needed and one more thing.
Right. And one more thing.
We did not get one.
No, we got Fast and the Furious Crossroads, which is interesting.
Very bizarre. Yeah.
So that was the Game Awards. That's all we're going to talk about in news this week. That and Resident Evil 3. I thought that was plenty to chat about. And yeah, Xbox Series X. I am excited to hear more details. And just to be clear, I will reiterate again, I'm also excited to hear what the PS5 is, but we already know what it's called. Really curious to see what it looks like, though. Have you seen the meme floating around where people made it into a vacuum?
No, I've seen the fridge one.
No, I'm not talking about that one, the PS5.
Yeah, I've seen people do a PS5 as a fridge meme.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, I haven't seen the vacuum one.
They've taken the thing and put it at the base of one of those vacuum cleaners that, like, you know, the detachable head or whatever, and they've put that as the base. Like, that's the vacuum part of it. And a woman, I don't know. It actually looks like it looks like it could be a vacuum cleaner. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, the you know what, that would look better than the freaking dev kits.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. The Flying V dev kit.
Oh,
we haven't
okay.
seen the real one yet, have we?
No, wait, I mean, we saw a studio leaked photos of the dev kit.
Right, but we don't know if that is going to be the actual console.
No, I would hope not. That would be ridiculous.
Some people want it, man.
They should be embarrassed if that is the case.
Some people want it. It's got a V on it, man. It's the PlayStation 5.
Metal Gear Solid V.
All right, well, let's go ahead real quick. Want to go over Patreon. We don't have any new patrons this week. However, we do have episodes available. If you'd like to hear us talk about Tron and Tron Legacy, yes, the movies, you can hear me, CB, and Nate chat about that. Also, we got our spoiler cast for Control. You will not want to miss that. That was a legitimately fun conversation. All are available on Patreon if you are a $3 monthly subscriber, as well as all of our additional bonus content. And I'm talking from the very beginning. You have access to all of it for $3. That's it, guys. $3, and you've got, man, it's got to be 2 a month. So you're talking between 24 and 36 episodes of quality content. Check that out. We've also got, we still have to record this, man. We have to record our Glee episode because people are demanding it. I don't know why everybody wants a Glee episode so bad, but we got to get that out there.
At this point, it's just part of the Gaming Outsider lore.
I know, right? But if any of that sounds interesting and you'd like to help support us because it does help pay for the show and help us do some giveaways for the community, head over to patreon.com/thegocast and sign up and help us out. We really would appreciate it. With that, let's go ahead and jump into our From the Outside In topic. This week's topic comes from a suggestion by listener CJ Moore on Discord, who wanted us to talk about cheat codes. You remember back in the day, punching in a sequence of button combinations to unlock like unlimited health or extra abilities to make the game easier or fun, right? Well, they've gone by the wayside in current generations, so we're going to discuss some of our most memorable moments cheating in games and why it's something and why we think it's something of the past. So let's start right there. I want to know why do you think we just don't see those cheat codes in games anymore? Zach?
The answer, Scott, is twofold.
Okay.
One, why would you let people have the cheat codes when you could charge them 99 cents for it?
Yeah, that's a good point.
And two, I think the under the hood machinations of games are probably so complex that to integrate cheat codes is probably much more difficult. To intentionally and safely break your game at this point. Or look at patches, right? Like you get 17 patches for a game in the first month because there's so many tiny things going wrong. You introduce the ability to actually break the game on purpose into that. That seems like it would disrupt things.
That's a good point, because then if patches happen, then does that cheat code still work?
There's that too. And like, is that something developers are interested in? Like, we got to make sure, on top of making sure, the mocap is in sync with the dialogue lines and, this high fidelity 4K resolution pumping out. Do we really care about big head mode?
I feel like that's a very 90s thing. Like
big head mode?
Yeah, it really is. And I feel like we got to remember too that back in the day, that was a time where we didn't have as many games at our fingertips as we do now. You know what I mean? And those that were playing the games that are now adults with disposable income, we have the means to play more of these games than we did when we were kids, when cheat codes were kind of not just a way to make the game easier just because it was difficult, but it was a way to prolong the time that you were able to spend on that game. Nowadays, and maybe I'm speaking for myself, but I'm not looking for ways to prolong the length of a video game. I'm looking for ways to make it shorter.
Yeah, no, I definitely want them shorter. And you know what? Something I hadn't considered until right now is video games. They're much more artful these days, right? Like you want the developers want a more tightly controlled experience because they want you to see their vision. So introducing cheat codes in that mix could really mess it up.
Kind of taints the experience, so to speak.
Yeah.
But like you said, they could also just squeeze a few extra bucks out of you by selling those cheat codes instead of, just making a button. I kind of miss it though.
Cheat codes?
It was just kind of fun. It really was.
Yeah, I've never really looked back on cheat codes. I will say that, like I try to beat Grand Theft Auto 3 I guess probably like 8 years ago now. And the only way I was getting through that was by entering the health code over and over again because the combat is so miserable.
Oh, is it really? I've never played. The first one I played was 5. So.
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa, that's so weird to think about.
Well, I dabbled in 4 a little bit, but I spent more time like bowling and going on dates with this girl than I did.
Yeah, that's 4.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Never played 3?
I just feel like that's such a blind spot in your gaming history.
You just told me that it was like the combat was abysmal, so.
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to think about how you, as a gamer as big as you, could have not played it when it came out.
I just really didn't have any interest. I really like the whole idea of like stealing cars and prostitutes and all that. It really didn't.
Are you such a rule follower that you couldn't even be a bad guy in a game?
No, I've been bad guys in plenty of games. But when you have the choice, I always go, like in Infamous, I always played the good role first, or Fallout, I always played the good role first. But I would go back and play it the other way later. Huh. But there didn't seem to be a good role in Grand Theft Auto for me to start with.
No, 4 does.
Yeah,
how about that? Yeah.
But then you get in trouble with the other mobsters that want you to be bad, right?
No, there are moral decisions in 4.
I feel like there was a bunch of cheat codes in Grand Theft Auto 3 as well, too. That's when I was doing some research, that one popped up a lot, and I just scrolled past it because I never played it.
It's like L1, R2, R1, R2, up, down, left, right, start, I think is refill your health.
Made the game a lot easier, huh?
Makes the game possible.
Was it impossible without?
The combat is just so wretched. It's just like lock-on gun combat, but locking on doesn't guarantee that you hit them. But you're getting shot from like 8 different directions at the same time.
Right.
It's not a good time.
Is there no cover mechanic? I don't remember.
No, there's not. This is long before cover mechanics.
Oh, okay.
But man, you should really play. Now you should play it just to see how it is.
Maybe playing a PS2 game just sounds kind of like a miserable experience.
The idea, we should like stream this. The idea of you playing Grand Theft Auto 3 for the first time in 2020.
Yeah.
Sounds hilarious.
Maybe we should do that while you're in town.
That'd be fun. I'd be into that. You know what? I own it on PS4, so we could download it with my account.
It's on PS4?
Yeah. Grand Theft Auto 3.
Interesting.
3, Vice City, and San Andreas are all on PS4.
Interesting. Hey, that might be a fun experience, man.
I played them for about 5 minutes each and was like, yep, they're just like I remember. And then I was like, man, I really spent $30 on that package, huh?
Well, I mean, I played Grand Theft Auto 5, and even then, the combat was not like a strong point of that game.
No, it is best to be avoided.
What's the one, the one where you're the cop and you have to look at the facial expressions?
L.A. Noire.
L.A. Noire had terrible combat, too. Like, it's just...
Well, but there's like 8 shootouts in that whole game.
Right, it didn't last long, but it wasn't very fun, so... Anyway, cheat codes. So, boy, we get off on a tangent this week. You want to jump right into them?
Let's talk about Star Wars.
Let's talk about specific ones. What are some of the cheat codes that you remember playing as a kid or more recently? I feel like we got to say as a kid because they just don't exist anymore.
Yeah, they simply do not.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely no-clipped in Doom. But I was honestly never too big into cheat codes.
What do you mean by no clip?
Or you could just walk through walls and stuff.
Was it a code that you actually had to punch in to do it?
Yeah, you never no clipped in Doom?
I never played Doom on PC, so.
Oh yeah, well no, yeah, it was like Slack. You go into like game code and you just type like no clip, or I think it was just no clip, and you could walk through walls and stuff. And the cool thing about Doom 2 was they actually hid stuff in there because it was people so rampantly no clipped in the first Doom,
right?
That they actually threw in, like, you could find John Romero's head in Doom 2 by no clipping through a wall.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I guess I used that quite a bit. In Grand Theft Auto, I did. It was it's kind of fun. You just put on invincible health or whatever and try to get blast at the 5-star level. But I just was never. If I beat a game with cheat codes, it just didn't feel like I beat it.
Right.
So I didn't use them a whole lot. I did own a Game Shark, which I use on Final Fantasy IX for a while. This is what happened. This is my big lesson, by the way. Sorry if you're interested.
Sure.
I used Game Shark on Final Fantasy 9, and I like tore through the story, which was incredible even then. And I got to the final boss, and it was kind of like I was fighting the final boss, and I was just like, I didn't really earn. It didn't feel like I went on the journey with him. I didn't earn the final fight.
Oh, because you cheated?
Yeah. So it didn't feel like I had beaten the game. So from then on, I really did not use cheat codes outside of Grand Theft Auto with my brothers.
See, I was the opposite of you. Like I said, I didn't usually use cheat codes to make the game easier. I used cheat codes after I had beaten the game, and I was trying to stretch out the life of that game and just do more interesting things with it. You know, like if I wanted to play the game, but I just wanted to have a stress-free version of playing through the game, you know, infinite lives or infinite health or whatever, or the ability to jump higher or whatever, you know, just to have some fun with the game and turn it into a sandbox style game, to just keep doing something because I literally couldn't afford another game at that point. But I don't know if that's what if that was the intention or not.
Yeah, I wonder, because you also grew up in a different era than me.
True.
You know, that definitely plays a big role, because when I was the age you were probably playing games using cheat codes, you know, I was playing through stories.
Right. For me, it was still very arcadey. I mean, there were some story games in the NES era, but I will never forget some of my best memories as a kid was renting a game from the video store. And if you were lucky enough to get a rental store that actually gave you the manual, and then you'd always go to the back of the manual and see if the person who rented it before you had written any cheat codes in the manual, which was so cool because you got to either the cheat codes or the passwords to get to different levels. That was such a fun experience as a kid. You know, the idea of writing in a instruction manual is horrifying as a collector now, but as a kid, it was like getting something extra when you rented this game and having that little booklet there with those codes waiting for you that sometimes you wouldn't even know what they were. You know, you'd have some gamer that would actually write down what the code did, but some would just write the code and that's it. And so you'd just be randomly punching in these cheat codes just to see what happened, and sometimes you didn't know until you started up the game, I thought that was a lot of fun.
Did you ever write down a cheat code to pass it along?
No, I didn't feel right doing it because in my mind, even as a kid, that wasn't my manual to write in. I was borrowing it or renting it from somebody else, and
that's adorable.
That was my mentality. I felt it wasn't my property. It would be like me taking a magic marker and writing over the game. Yeah,
the only time I remember writing in a rental manual was renting Beyond Good and Evil, and I wrote in the back, "You're in for a treat. This is the best game ever." I remember doing that when I was a kid.
Somebody somewhere is recording a podcast right now saying, "Man, when I was a kid, I rented Beyond Good and Evil 2, and there's this note in the back of it. And man, he was right. That game was awesome."
He was dead right, man. Oh, what a smart person that was.
Now I have to listen to all the video game podcasts in the world
just to see if that story comes up.
See if that story ever comes up.
You know what? Speaking of Grand Theft Auto, though, David Newman wrote in with Grand Theft Auto was so much fun with cheat codes when you just wanted to go around and cause as much havoc as possible, getting more cash as well as guns and ammo were the cheat codes to go for. Also, Big Heads and NBA Jam and Tiny Man and NFL Blitz were some of my all-time favorites.
Oh man, I know you talked about Grand Theft Auto already, but those those NBA Jam and Blitz codes were so much fun.
I remember them for sure.
The NBA Jam ones where you could play as like the presidents. Or like
you could play as Bill Clinton.
Al Gore
Hillary?
was in there.
Hillary?
Not Hillary, no.
Well, you could play as Barack Obama on the newest one, right, on PS3.
I didn't play that one, but
I'm pretty sure you could.
That kind of stuff was fun. I feel like you couldn't get away with that. Like if
not in the internet age. You'd be taking a political stance,
right? Just by having him in there. But what if you put like both in there? I mean, could you?
But you put in both, and the people would be like, "Oh, you still put in the bad guy, though."
Right. No matter what you do, you're going to make somebody angry.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't have fun anymore, Scott.
I know.
It's just not the world we live in.
But Big Head mode was a thing on GoldenEye as well. Remember that? It made super easy targets.
Yes.
In multiplayer.
Yes, I do remember that.
That was a blast. And paintball mode in GoldenEye was a lot of fun.
Okay, I do remember that cheat for sure.
I mean, it's more of a cosmetic thing than a cheat, but it just made that game so much fun.
It made it so colorful.
Yeah, and it made it easy to know where a gunfight just went down. You're trying to play stealthy. Like you just see paint splattered all over the walls. Oh, somebody was here.
Oh man, good old temple level. I remember using, I think, an infinite ammo cheat in GoldenEye, and then just trying to stack as many remote mines as you could.
Yep.
Because you could make a whole tower out of them.
Oh yeah, totally.
And then you set it off. The N64 slows to a crawl for the next 2 minutes.
Yep.
That was awesome.
Totally did the same thing.
You see your character in slow motion going like, it's fun. Man, what a good time.
I wish that game still hold up. It looks terrible now.
Yeah, that's rough. But Brandon Smith wrote it. Oh, you know what? Sorry. I just remember the cheat code I use endlessly.
What's that?
Turok 2.
Okay.
And the cheat code, and I think it was just to I think it was the unlock everything cheat. So it unlocked all the levels and all the weapons and everything for you.
Uh-huh.
But it was Oblivion is at hand was the cheat code. And I didn't know what the word Oblivion meant when I was playing that game as a kid. So me and my brothers, we had it memorized, and we'd always like, hey, put in the Oblivion I set hand code. You know one.
I set hand?
Yes. We were like, it's Oblivision, but without the S. I set hand. Like, that's how we remembered it.
That's hilarious, man.
Wow. Oh, man. That just came back to me, but I definitely remember that. But anyway, Brandon Smith wrote in, personally, I was never much into cheat codes, but the few I remember using were the Konami code in a number of games, the Sonic debug code mentioned elsewhere, and there's a Bomberman Wario mashup game on the OG Game Boy game called Wario Blast, where you could enter 4-digit code. This is incredibly specific, where you could enter a 4-digit code to skip to specific levels and also to unlock certain hidden power-ups and bonus levels. When I was a kid, and this was the only new game I had to play at the time, I remember spending a portion of my summer break meticulously trying all 10,000 possible code combinations in order from quadruple zero to 9999, and documenting what each valid one did in a notebook. To have that kind of free time again.
Holy cow.
That's incredibly. That's
like,
a lot.
Even if you were using a spreadsheet to do that would take forever.
That's a lot of notebook paper.
Sure. I wonder if he still has it. If he still had it, could you imagine? That'd be insane.
That'd be cool. I hope he does. That'd be a fun little memory to have.
It would. I got some also from the community. Mine came from Facebook. Nick Brown. The difficulty of finding, recording, and then inputting codes into NBA Jam, and then just as you had custom players, ball, big head, etc., you would enter the damn tournament mode code, which removed all cheat codes. Yeah, that was the thing. Because the ones for NFL Blitz specifically, it wasn't even a code. It was a button combination. Like it was either the A button or the B button, or I can't remember what the third one was, but it would cycle through 3 different random emblems, and you had to have the right order of emblems. So if you were trying to get the next one,
I remember this. Yeah.
You could accidentally cycle through the tournament mode one, and it would just erase everything, which was frustrating. But yeah, we both had the same idea with the sports ones, because that definitely made those games more fun too. Alan Scheck said, anyone else buy the Secret Codes book at book fairs at school? Yes, Alan. Yes, I did.
I bought Tips and Tricks magazine. That's where it was at.
Yeah, that was another one. He says, I have some fond memories of figuring out the mapping from PS2 to Xbox so I could translate codes that were PS2 exclusives when the book was published. I ended up with a bunch of carefully handwritten codes on note cards that I kept in the disc cases. I love stories like that.
Yeah, that's great.
That's so cool. Have you ever stumbled across like an old game that you still had the codes written in the manual or something like that?
Yes, in Splinter Cell Double Agent, I still to this day have. There's a Sudoku puzzle you have to figure out in the middle of the game.
Oh wow! Okay,
which is obnoxious and annoying. So I wrote down the right way to rotate the cube. It's a 3D Sudoku on top of it.
Ugh.
So I wrote down directions, and it's like it says at the top, to my future self, and it's like rotate to the right, rotate to the left, when to fill in the codes. So yes, I do.
I feel like some of the manuals used to have a spot for that too. Like there was a spot to write notes or codes.
Yes. Oh, my Warrior Within still has the location of all the hidden health fountains, because you need to find all of them to find the canon ending.
Ah,
I remember that.
Okay.
My copy Beyond Good and Evil is where I keep my valuable memory items.
Look at you.
Like I have a whole collection of like stuff that is important to me in my Beyond Good and Evil case because that game is probably it made me want to write about games.
I love it. I got one more comment that came from Brent Murray, who was one of our sponsors at R2V2. He's got a little ice cream shop called Dairy House up in Rockton. He's not paying me to say this, but if you're in the area, you need to go there. Their ice cream is fantastic. Anyway,
they're probably not getting a lot of business in December, so help them out.
That's true. I don't even know when he opens. We gotta talk to him for the spring and do something together. Brent says, of course, as an 80s kid, the Contra code has been tattooed on my brain. It was kind of hard to pull off when I was a youngster, but through persistence and an easy-to-push reset button, we got the hang of it. As time went on, whether the little silly jokes about using it in real life or seeing something amazing, my brain would regularly think of the Contra code. 3 years ago, I was asked if the Dairy House would host a memorial bench on the west side of our building. We'd accepted these benches before, and I've always appreciated the gesture as well as the idea behind the memorial. So many people would get to sit and enjoy an ice cream on the memorial bench. It wasn't until this memorial arrived that I really appreciated it. I'll add the full quote here later, but it was for Dustin Boyce, a man that I went to high school with, and it ends with a Contra code. It seemed that Dustin appreciated the code as I did, and it, of course, has wonderful implications about his passing. I thought that was really cool. So if you're at Dairy House, check out the bench on the west side of the building, and it actually has the entire Konami code on like the little plaque, which I thought was really cool, and that was a cool story for Brent to share. As for me, I've got a bunch. Metroid is the very first one I thought of. I don't even know if you've played the original Metroid, Zach.
Yes, I have. I've done my my history lesson.
Okay. Well, the really cool code for Metroid was Justin Bailey, the infamous Justin Bailey code. If you typed Justin Bailey and then the second row was nothing but spaces, it would take you to the very end of the game, but it would also have you showing Samus as Samus without the suit, and she had green hair. And, if you remember, Metroid was a big deal finding out that Samus was actually a woman, because until you beat the game, you legit didn't know that. But you could put in Justin Bailey and actually have all your missiles and all your health, and just basically running you up to the final area of the game with the wave beam with all these missiles, and you could actually kind of beat the game. I used to do that over and over and over again as a kid, and it was really awesome. Also, Kid Icarus, which was an insanely difficult game as a kid. There was a code, again, I used to do the same thing. If I remember correctly, and someone will probably correct me if I'm wrong, I think the code was Icarus fights Medusa Angels, and it would take you to the very end of the game where you fight off Medusa, but the end of the game plays completely differently from the rest of the game. Did you ever play Kid Icarus?
No, I know that there are credit cards in it, but that's about it.
Credit cards?
Isn't that one of the things that drop in Kid Icarus? Credit cards?
I guess there's like these tiles that drop from the screen that you have to like shoot to protect yourself, and I guess they could be seen as credit cards. I never thought of them as credit cards.
It doesn't matter.
But anyway, that game is like straight up a platformer, like a platform Metroidvania. Once you like, well, no, let me back up. It starts out as a platform where you're moving just straight up, but the level moves with you, so you have to keep moving quickly. And then once you get to through a couple levels of that, it turns into a Metroidvania, where you have to work your way through a Zelda 2-esque palace, get through, fight a boss.
Okay.
And then that's the game until the final area, it turns into a shmup, where the final boss is a shmup level. And I thought that was so much fun. So I used to put in this code and just get to the final boss and play that because I thought it was so much fun. And Medusa is this giant eyeball creature that you shoot a laser into it.
Wow.
It was awesome.
Did you appreciate how often it changed genres?
I didn't appreciate it as much as a kid.
Okay.
Because it was so difficult, I barely got to the temples. So it was really hard, man. Those platforming areas are very, very tough. Man, I got that music stuck in my head now too.
Yeah, I think I got Beyond Good and Evil music stuck in my head like a mofo right now.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, speaking of music that gets stuck in your head, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out has some pretty memorable music, and I feel like that code, anybody ever played Mike Tyson's Punch-Out has this one memorized. 007-373-5963 was the code to get to Tyson. You just go straight to Tyson, which I've still never beat, even with the cheat code. You mentioned Game Shark. I did not have a Game Shark, but I definitely did have a Game Genie, which was basically all the cheat codes built right into it.
Yeah.
As a kid,
precursor.
Well, that was a godsend, man. That made games so much fun.
Well, good.
Because back in the day, you could even like bust out old games you hadn't touched in forever just to see what you could make the game do. It was like modding before modding was really a thing on PC. I mean, technically that's what it was, right? It was a modification.
Right, yeah, I guess it was, I think. I mean, when did Game Shark die? PS2? Was there a PS2 one?
I remember there being a PS2 one for sure. I don't think there was anything like that on the 360 PS3 era.
Yeah, do you think people just lost interest in cheat codes?
Well, like I said, I think that people just got more interested in playing the next game instead of going back and playing the game differently.
Yeah. I was just wondering, because Game Shark definitely went out of business and stuff. Like,
mm-hmm.
That only happens with the lack of sales.
Yeah. But like you said, kids don't want the cheat codes anymore. I mean, look at Fortnite. They want those V-Bucks.
Yeah, yeah, they do. It's only that's best deal, $99.99.
Because when we were kids, you could beat a game, take a picture of it, even if you use the cheat code, it still looked like you beat it. Nowadays, it's the status symbols for kids isn't beating the game; it is cosmetics. Yeah, that's what makes a kid look cool. Is I have this dance or I have this.
I got
skin.
The bat suit.
Right. That's what matters more, and I think that's a big part of it because I don't think adults care about it at all. Like cheat codes, we just want to play the game. We want the challenge. We want to, say we beat the game without a cheat code.
Right.
You know what I mean? And kids just don't care because that's not what's cool anymore. Could be just me.
Yeah. I mean, you are a teacher, so I guess you have the front lines with the kids.
True. I got one other one. I don't know if this is technically a cheat code, but Mega Man 3 had a really weird cheat that I feel like I've never seen in any other game before. Mega Man 3, one of the best Mega Man games out there, had a weird, I don't know if it was built into the code or not, but if you pressed down on the second controller, press the right key on the keypad, when you played the game with the first controller, it would make Mega Man jump about 3 or 4 times as high for the entire game. So it seems really crazy, right? Because how do you hold that down and play Mega Man 3 at the same time? Well, I had a joystick. NES. What's that?
Oh, I was gonna say you could angle your NES on top of the controller.
Yeah, I guess you could do that. I took a joystick that I had, like a Quick Shot 2, I think is what it was called. It had a trigger and a button on the top, and I positioned it. I would sit. We have to call it crisscross applesauce now because we can't call it the other name that we called it growing up. Where you sit cross-legged.
Oh, sure. Yeah. You just say cross-legged, man.
Yeah. So I would sit cross-legged with the joystick like balancing on the corner underneath my leg, holding it to the right while I played Mega Man 3. And I would play through Mega Man 3 with the nice jump ability, which made that game a lot easier.
That reminds me of cheating in Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah, how'd you do that?
There was a because you do like those hoverboard races,
mm-hmm.
and if you jump off your hoverboard in the middle of a track, there was one set of crates that would just keep respawning.
Uh-huh.
So if you just kept hammering it down with your gun, you could just keep making the nuts and bolts appear.
Oh, okay.
So I took a rubber band, I put it over the fire button, because there's like a sound wave weapon that'll break crates but doesn't actually take ammo.
Uh-huh.
So I just kept the rubber band held down on the circle button and then went to bed and then woke up the next night and had 4 million bolts or something.
Oh, dude, that's what I did with Final Fantasy 3. Did you ever play Final Fantasy 3?
I have played it, but I did not. Final Fantasy 6, do you mean?
Well, yeah, Final Fantasy 6, Final Fantasy 3.
Yeah.
So at the very beginning of the game, you have a character, Bannon, who's like the healer.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a section at the very beginning of the game where you're on this raft area. And you have to go in you have to navigate through this raft area while you're escaping with Terra. So there's something you do in the menu where you set everybody to auto, and you set Bannon to always heal no matter what he does. Oh no, what you do is you set it so that the selection is always the same one that you previously selected. So if your character picked heal, he always picks heal or whatever. And so you set everybody else to attack, and you set this one character to heal, and then you had an auto fire joystick, like you said, and I rubber banded that. And then if you keep selecting the same selection in this waterfall area, they'll just keep going in a loop over and over and over and over again. They just say, "Oh, where do you go? You turn right here." As long as you always turn right there, it would do that same loop over and over again, and it was random encounters. And so I let it sit for like 3 days, and came back and all my characters were maxed out, which sounds awesome because then you could just go through and enjoy the story, right? However, I played through the game, got to the final boss, did not realize that in order to beat the final boss, you can't just muscle your way through that final boss. You have to have all your magic stuff equipped as well, because each level of the boss needed a specific magic attack to beat him. And I didn't have any magic because all I did was power up my physical attributes. So I could not actually beat that game when you fight Kefka. I think it was Kefka was the final boss, wasn't he? So
yeah, he was.
So to this day, I still have not finished Final Fantasy 3 or 6. I kind of want to go through and play it now just to play it legit, because it actually is a really great game.
Some say it's the best RPG ever.
It's really good. So
I've never beaten it either, though.
No, I mean I've seen it now. I've seen it just that final boss. I guess I could just go watch a YouTube video.
It's not the same, Scott, and you know it.
I know.
It won't feel the same to you.
Yeah. So it's not a cheat code, but it was definitely a cheat. Right?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
All right. Well, that was a fun topic, man.
Yeah.
Lots of good memories on that. And thanks to everybody who wrote in. And sorry we couldn't get to everybody, but we are running a little short on time. So let's go ahead and move on. Got some quick housekeeping. We have one new Facebook member to say hello to, Matthew Duknowski. Welcome to the Facebook group. If you would like to join the conversations, head over to facebook.com/groups/the GoCast. We got a great community over there. We try to keep it up to date with all the news, anything happening, so you want to check that out. Also, we've got a Discord server. You can find the link to that in the show notes for this episode. We've got 3 new members over there, Davin Vialosa, somebody that goes by the name of Periodic Gamer, and then Alec Nicenwander. I believe that is a guy that helped us out at R2V2. If that's the same guy, I think it is. Isn't he a guy from Cataclysm? I thought it was Alex for some reason, but he wrote Alec as his name. But I think he's back. Also, if you guys would like to help us out, head over to iTunes and give us a review on there. It helps us get the word out about what we're doing, and we also do take the constructive criticism and try to make the show better for you. So please head over there, give us a review. We do take it to heart, and we all read the positive ones on the show as well. So really do appreciate it. Finally, check out our website, thegamingoutsider.com. That's where we write all our written reviews. And we are getting dangerously close to the 100 review mark for the year, and I'm very excited about that. The new one this week is Interrogation, You Will Be Deceived, which is written by Thomas Becks, our resident reviewer over in Ireland. He really likes that game a lot, so you will not want to miss that review there. With that, we're going to go ahead and jump into the games we've actually been playing. All right, Zach, you said it's the end of the year. No new games are coming out, but I see 5 new games here.
Well, yes and no. Right off the bat, you got Untitled Goose Game is ported to PS4 and Xbox One December 17th. That game will just not stop its dominance of the popular culture, I feel like.
People won't stop talking about it, man. And thank God it's coming to Game Pass, because I feel like I have to try it just to see what it's about.
I did not know it's coming to Game Pass, but I almost feel like it's almost to that point where enough people have talked about it where I'm like, I don't want to touch it now.
Oh, don't be that guy. Come on, man.
Oh my God, it's so annoying. Then Watum comes to PS4 and PC December 17th. That's from the Katamari Damacy guy.
Oh, say no more. I'll try it.
Oh yeah,
I love Katamari Damacy.
See, this is why you wait for the end of the year. These new games come out, and you don't know where they could end up on a list.
Yeah, right.
Demon Pit comes to PS4 December 17th.
What a generic title.
Yeah, it's definitely What would you think? Did you watch the trailer?
I did not.
What would you think this game is based on the name?
I don't know. I think like Pit Fighter. I'm thinking a fighting game.
Oh, interesting. See, I immediately thought a Doom clone, and it is definitely a 90s style polygonal shooter.
In a good way?
Yeah, I mean, it looks fine. I feel like we're reaching the point where the polygonal look is nostalgic for a certain age group.
Yep.
So I think we're gonna start rolling into those for sure in the next few years.
I agree.
Cold Silence comes to Xbox One December 20th. This game had a really cool look. It looks almost hand drawn.
All right.
The whole game looks like.
Is that coming to Game Pass?
I did not check. Apparently, I got to check for these Game Pass entries.
Well, the only reason I brought it up is because it's only coming to Xbox One, which makes me think it's a first-party title or
some kind of Game Pass deal. That's a good point. Yeah. But it's like you're like an Arctic Explorer as a 2D platformer, but it's got a really neat look. And then Airy, which is a game that might be coming to Game Pass. I don't know, as it's coming to Xbox One December 20th. I really like the description the developers gave for this game. They're like, just sit back, relax, and fly around as a bird.
That's it.
Apparently, yeah, just have a nice chill evening with our game, kind of relax. I was like, that's kind of sweet.
That sounds like a listen to a podcast game.
Yeah, well, I think they want you to have a Zen experience with their game.
Okay. Well, I think I'm past the point of being able to have a Zen experience playing a video game.
I don't think did you ever have that? Because you got this weird tick about you where you always have to feel like you need to be doing something.
Yeah, I think that's why I didn't like Journey as much as everybody else did. I couldn't just sit back and enjoy it. I'm like, I need to be doing something.
Oh yeah, I'm not fully utilizing my time.
Yeah.
How do you sit through a movie?
I mean, if at the theater I sit through it and my phone is off at the theater.
Well, you don't have a choice.
Right.
You don't want to be that guy.
So I'm absorbed in the movie, but I also don't go to the movies nearly as much as I used to when I was reviewing movies.
Yeah.
So
that's true. Well, hey, Untitled Goose Game, is that what's grabbing you?
Yeah, pretty much the only one that's really, although, hand-drawn 2D platformer, Cold Silence, I that sounds interesting to me. Is that the hand-drawn one?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. No, I think it looks really good. I do want to see what this Goose Game's all about. I just almost don't want to. This is tough.
You're going to play it. It's on Game Pass. You have to try it.
Yeah, it's tough to deny a Game Pass game at this point.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, this is the last time we're going to talk about new games in about 3 weeks. Actually, 4 weeks, because we're going to have our Game of the Year episode the week after we get back from break. Man. So
yeah, you're not kidding.
Yeah. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into the games. Because both you and I have been playing the new Shovel Knight game, which is called King of Cards. And I got to say, Yacht Club Games just keeps impressing me with how good these titles are. I know this is your first one, wasn't it?
Yeah, let's preface this by you hit me up or told me this was out. I've owned Shovel Knight Treasure Trove Edition since I've owned my Switch, and I
didn't know that. I had no idea you already had it,
and I have never ever played them. But hey, I have all the DLC for it. So you were checking out King of Cards, and I was like, wouldn't it be fun if my first exposure to Shovel Knight was this final expansion?
Yeah. And you're pleasantly surprised?
It's pretty great.
Isn't it?
Yeah, that's a fun game.
Here's the best part about all of those DLC packs in the original game. I mean, each piece of content is about the same length. They're all like a full game, right?
Like 6 or 8 hours, it seemed like.
Right. But what's cool is each one plays completely different. I mean, they're all platformers, but each one, the main character controls vastly different. Like the original Shovel Knight, which I believe is called Shovel of Destiny or something like that.
Shovel of Hope.
Shovel of Hope. That game plays like DuckTales, where his shovel is, he can pogo. He can pogo around.
Yeah.
And that's the quirk on that one. The other one, I think it's Plague Knight. One of them like throws bombs, but the mechanics are all completely different. So coming into King of Cards, I was expecting it to be something different, and it shocks me that how well they are able to completely revamp the game, make it feel completely different, yet still feel like a Shovel Knight game, and break my brain about how a platformer should work.
So it basically made 3 sequels.
Yeah. But what's cool is like each of these characters, like the character you're playing as in King of Cards, was one of the bosses in the original Shovel of Hope game. Plague Knight was one of the bosses, one of like the 8 Mega Man bosses.
Yeah, what about the Spectre Knight? He looks so cool.
Spectre Knight was one of the bosses in the original game.
That guy looks rad.
Yeah.
I want to play a Spectre Knight.
then you'll want, after you finish King of Cards, you'll want to go back and play these. You got that unique perspective because this is the last one they're doing, by the way.
Yeah.
So you can kind of play them all in reverse order. So you should do that.
I could just pick and choose which ones I want to play, really.
Oh, it'd be so cool for you to like finish by playing Shovel Knight.
Right, yeah, I do this, then I do Plague Knight, then I do Spectre Knight, and then I do... Yeah, it'd be fun.
Yeah, and Shovel Knight also has a pretty cool story wrap-up. It has a cool... I mean, for a platformer, the moment at the end is pretty cool.
Okay, color me intrigued.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking about the story where the guy carries a shovel around was going to be too good.
No, and it don't get me wrong. It's not like a super deep narrative. It's just that the way that the thing plays out at the end was unexpectedly cool for a game like this. It's not going to blow your socks off, but I'll be really interested to hear what you think of those games because they are legit fun too.
Yeah, they're pretty. This one anyway is really good, and it's got a card minigame.
Yeah, I'm curious how you feel about that because I do not have much interest in playing that card minigame at all.
I wanted it to be different because with the arrows and everything, it almost looked like Triple Triad or Tetramaster from Final Fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
So immediately I wanted that to be what it was. But it's really not a card game, to be honest. It's like a puzzler.
It's like a sliding puzzle game.
Yeah, which... but I do think it's fun, and it's a nice little break from all the platforming.
See, every time I get into it, because it's completely optional, I should say that to people.
Oh, I didn't know it was optional.
Well, you had to play the training one or whatever, but after you get through it, you come across people that are sitting at a table and you can challenge them. But you don't have to do it. But it helps you to do so because you get those little medals or whatever that allow you to unlock other things. So that's helpful. But
your merit medals?
Merit medals, yeah. So it becomes not a necessity, but it definitely makes things a lot easier. Because there's a ton of stuff to unlock. Holy cow! I can't. I feel like I'm never going to get enough money to do all this stuff. But
yeah, I mean, a lot of it doesn't feel very necessary.
Well, I've been focusing on increasing my health.
Yeah,
which by the way is provided by your mother.
This game is very charming and funny. By the way.
Oh yeah. So like the beginning of Shovel Knight, Shovel of Hope. Like it talks about the villains, the 8 bosses are called the Order of No Quarter, which is just I love that title for some reason. But it's all that tongue-in-cheek humor the entire time, and it's great. But we're not here to talk about Shovel of Hope. Let's talk about King of Cards, because what they've done with the mechanics of this game, again, vastly different from the others, but it works. So if you're used to like a Mega Man game or any of the Shovel Knight games, you're used to either attacking with the shovel, like swinging it like a melee weapon, or pogoing, or throwing bombs. This one doesn't have any of that. This one has a crazy dash mechanic where King Knight basically charges forward with his shoulder to attack. But then as soon as he attacks, it kind of forces him straight up in the air where he does like a spin move.
Yes, yeah.
And that sounds simple enough, but that changes the platforming drastically. Because not only do you have to attack enemies to get to new areas, but you also have to kind of do a Mega Man X jump off of the wall to reach that, and that just opens up the mechanics of this game in insane ways that they seriously hurt my brain. Am I alone in that?
I don't know if it hurts my brain, but maybe it's because I never played Shovel of Hope, so to me, like, this is just how you platform in this game.
Maybe that's what it is, but yeah.
But it is, because it's all about finding the right surfaces. Because you need to shoulder bash into an enemy in order to prop yourself into the air, and you start spinning like a top. And then you have to like land on another enemy or a certain kind of surface to keep the spinning going while you're mid-air. So you have to use that in creative ways to get across these big old gaps and stuff. Like maybe you have to time attacking one enemy, correctly where like his buddy is flying past, so you can almost double jump off of them.
Right.
And there's some pretty clever little platforming puzzles involved with this.
And it has that level of satisfaction when you get to the end of it, kind of like Celeste did. Although it's not as brutal as Celeste thus far.
No.
But it feels cool when you pull it off. The game is very good at making you feel like you pulled off something way more impressive than you did. I don't know why. It just feels good.
I mean, you do some impressive stuff in this game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and I'm only about a third of the way through it. I think I beat the first major boss.
Yeah, I think we're roughly at the same point.
Pridemore, was that his name?
Yeah.
And the bosses are fun. Did you beat Is it Pridemore that's the boss that has like the ghost minions? Did you fight that boss?
Yeah, in the swamp, I think, though.
Yeah, like you can't attack him directly. You have to like attack these ghosts that actually shoot like horizontally and vertically. So you have to time it so that those
they're like little lanterns that you have to hit.
Yeah,
and it fires off shots. Yeah, see, it's interesting. I actually think the bosses are a little easy to me because it's almost like you because his attack function is very similar to Sonic's little like his spin dash attack thing,
right?
Where you could just keep bouncing on Eggman over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like you can do that here. In the end, like the bosses do defend against it, but I don't know. It feels like it's pretty easy to get your attacks in. At least on the main bosses, there's like an optional boss. He's got this whip, and he was pretty tough. But yeah, I don't know. They haven't felt that difficult to me, I guess.
Maybe I'm going about them the wrong way because I mean I've never died more than once doing them.
Okay,
so they're not super difficult, but except was it Pridemore, the one that he gets in like a mech or something like that?
Yeah.
That was pretty interesting. But yeah, I'm loving this game and just finding the secrets. Like you see gems like just hidden in the wall, so you have to like bounce off of them to get those. Or I assume you've discovered like the false walls. Very very Castlevania-esque. It's just so much fun, and the music. I know you're not a music guy, but the music in Shovel Knight just through all these games is just great. MIDI chiptune sets that are a ton of fun. The actual main theme, like when you start the game, is the same theme from the original game. So they carry the same overall tone of music throughout all 4 of these little packs. So
I can't. I'm gonna break your heart because I've been listening to podcasts mostly while I play.
Oh my god, dude, you're missing out, man. There's some quality music in these.
You can still hear the music. The music is very good.
Yeah. It's quality. So yeah, you can get this standalone if you just want to play this one, but seriously, just do yourself a favor if you haven't played this series, get the Treasure Trove. It includes all of the Shovel Knight games.
See, that's the only way you can buy it now, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was mistaken because I was offered when I talked to my PR rep, they said they had codes for just the standalone game, so I assumed it was going to be available for sale that way.
I think that might be a review thing. I mean, I guess I could be wrong. I could have swore I got a PR email years ago that said, hey, Treasure Trove is the only way you're going to be able to buy Shovel Knight going forward.
Maybe I misread. Who knows? Anyway, go buy Treasure Trove. You won't be disappointed anyway.
We should know. We should be the ones to know, but oh well.
We should know. But again, that is Shovel Knight, King of Cards. It is the third expansion of the Shovel Knight games. And if you like Mega Man, if you like DuckTales, what other games? If you like Zelda 2, it's not as mind-crushingly, it won't crush your soul like Zelda 2 will. But if you like that style of game, Shovel Knight and the Treasure Trove are games you will want to check out. And it sounds like, Zach, I'm so glad that you're on board with this, man.
Shovel Knight, it really does make me want to play the other ones.
Oh, I will say I think I like the original Shovel Knight better than this one. This is still a very quality game. But I'm saying that as a selling point to get you to go back and play the others.
Yeah, because, I mean, I'm most intrigued by Spectre Knight just because he looks so cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will absolutely.
The interesting thing is from a story aspect because you're going to be playing them backwards, and then you're going to go back and actually fight those bosses.
Is it a narrative? Like, does the story matter?
Somewhat. Not. I would say it matters less as you go through them. I mean, they have their standalone story because what you're doing is you're playing the story that's leading up to them fighting Shovel Knight in the first game. So it's like before they become these dastardly villains that Shovel Knight has to take down. So somewhat of a backstory.
Man, now I feel so sad. I didn't realize this was a tragedy.
No, not necessarily a tragedy. It's just like they're not. I mean, they're not.
I guess King of Cards. Well, he seems so well-meaning right now. He just wants to have a kingdom, and his mom is trying to support him.
He seems very pompous, though.
Yeah, sure, but
like, do you have the guy like painting a portrait of you in the airship?
Yeah, I just paid him. I haven't seen the final results yet.
I haven't either. I've only got to like the second or third tier of whatever I'm paying for. But by the way, airship. This map totally is Super Mario Brothers 3.
Yeah, there's no question. Is all the Shovel Knights like this?
No.
Okay.
I mean, they don't. There wasn't an overworld map, at least not in the original. No, There is an overworld map, but they don't look quite as Mario 3 as this one does. Like, I mean, maybe it's the airship that helps. But
yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. Anyway, Scott, you were right. You can buy them separately. I was mistaken.
I was right. Look at that. I thought I was going crazy.
For once, man.
For once. All right, so that's Shovel Knight, King of Cards. We both highly recommend that one. It's a lot of fun. Next one, I won't talk very long because I get a lot of flack for talking about pinball, but I got to play the Williams Pinball.
Who gives you flack?
I guess that's true.
I think it's in your head.
Maybe it is.
I think you just love pinball and you talk about it a lot, and you feel like people are judging. No one's judging you for it, man. Just love pinball.
Okay, all right. Pinball FX3 has a new DLC pack called Williams Pinball Volume 5. Now, if you're familiar with pinball at all, you know that Williams is kind of the king of real pinball tables. They're the ones that make all the great ones. Like, I'm talking physical stand-up pinball tables.
Did they make Addams Family?
Yes.
Right?
Wait. I'm going to have to remember now if that's a Williams table or not.
I mean, I figured you would know.
See, I don't know the names as well as my buddy Mike. My buddy Mike is a pinball aficionado, and he knows these names and the developers. I actually got to meet a developer of some of these bigger high-end pinball tables at Midwest Gaming Classic last year, and even I didn't know who he was. Turns out he's the guy that does the finish him voice in the Mortal Kombat games.
Oh.
Makes pinball tables.
I thought... Oh, no, Ed Boon does Scorpion. You're right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So that was kind of cool. But anyway, Williams Pinball Volume 5. Obviously, this is the 5th version. But what's different about these tables, these Williams ones, as opposed to the regular Pinball FX tables, is the Pinball FX tables are made-up tables that they made for Pinball FX. They're not based on real tables. They're just built from scratch. But these Williams collections are actually real tables that you can actually go play a physical version of that they've turned into a digital table, which is nice. So you don't have to pump all the quarters into it. You can just play it as much as you want. So the tables included here are some older ones, Tales of the Arabian Nights, Circus Voltaire, and No Good Gophers. And they're all solid. I don't know what more to say, but other than if you like these tables in real life, the translation to digital is impeccable. It's shocking how much these tables feel like you were playing a real pinball table. The physics are incredible. The look is great. The digital LCD readouts at the top feel like you're playing a pinball game. The only thing you're missing is that tactile feel. You know, there's something about pressing those round arcade-style buttons on the side of a pinball cabinet that you're missing. But there are ways around that. Grant, from the guy, like I said, the guy that does our music, Grant Henry from Metroid Metal, he made his own cabinet where he put a 20-inch monitor in a cabinet and then rigged this whole thing where it's got buttons on the side so you can actually play pinball for real. But
that's pretty cool.
And it's really cool.
This is Stemage himself?
Stemage himself. He actually made a how-to video on how to do it. I swear one of these times I'm going to fly him out here just because number one, it'd be cool to hang out with him.
Sure.
But then have him help me build one. Just straight up build a Pinball FX table in my basement. Because I think that would be super rad. Or maybe I'll just hire Nate to help me do it. He's good at figuring out stuff like that.
Smart guy, maybe?
Yeah. Just build a digital pinball table and really make my wife angry. She would not be happy if I put a digital pinball table in my basement, but I totally want to do that. Nate, if you're listening, that's our summer project, man. We're going to build a digital pinball table. We're going to buy a 36-inch monitor. We're going to just make a real life size. I want to make that happen so bad. It would be so cool. But yeah, if you love pinball, there's no reason not to recommend Williams Pinball Volume 5, especially if you were a fan of these tables when they were, as real tables. The translation is great. The leaderboards are awesome. They've added some extra animations to make these things, a little bit different. And the voices it's just fun. If you love pinball, just get it. I'm one of those people that Zen Studios loves because any table that comes out without even watching a trailer or anything, I just buy it. I have bought every table.
You're a Zen Studios mark.
Yeah, I'm a Zen Studios whale. Seriously, if you think about that, each table costs roughly $3.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you buy a pack, Like 3 of them coming in like for like $10. You know what I mean?
That's not a bad deal though.
The
amount of play you get out of it, probably.
Well, yeah, but there's over 60 or 70 tables on Pinball FX3. So do the math for a minute.
Yeah, but you've loved every one though.
Some more than others, but yeah.
Sure.
There's a Star Wars table on there, man, based on the Clone Wars.
Oh yeah.
That is my favorite table.
The cartoon show?
Yeah. There's seriously like 12 Star Wars tables in there.
Well, yeah. How's the Rogue One one?
Rogue One's not bad. It's not my favorite, but it's there. But what's interesting is they don't use the actual voices because they can't. So they have they have like actors that sound close, but if you watch the movies 500,000 times like I have,
sure,
it's not actually Darth Vader, but they're decent.
So. I mean the dude who does his voice and all the modern stuff is really good.
Does the voice of
Vader on like the Clone Wars and Force Unleashed and stuff like that.
I'd be willing to bet it probably is the same guy because they've done some cross-pollination there.
I would think so. He's also in other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like I want to check out these. I don't like pinball, but I still want to play the Star Wars ones.
But I mean, dude, you can get them so cheap now. If you had been paying attention at Black Friday, you got like the Star Wars pack for like $8. So the client is free. So you can just go download Pinball FX3 on Switch, on Xbox, on PS4, and then you just buy the tables piecemeal that you want.
Okay.
Which is pretty cool. So check out some Star Wars, man. The Boba Fett one is pretty cool.
Boba Fett has his own table?
Yeah, dude.
Okay, I'm about to go download Pinball FX3.
Oh man,
Boba Fett's the magic word, man.
There's a Han Solo table. There's a Attack of the Clones. Man, I think there's a TIE Fighter one. I think.
There's a Boba table. Does he go like he's like, he's no good to me, dead.
Oh, yeah, dude, all the big quotes are there. Well, what's the mark he says? Where there's one that's not from the movies, but you hear these quotes over and over and over again because it's a pinball table. So if you hit the same ramp or whatever, there's one that he's like, "When I find my mark, I always keep it." I'm not saying the quote right, but he just says the same thing, and it sounds cool no matter how many times I hear it.
Yeah, well, he's pretty cool.
Yeah. Hey, there's also a Deadpool table on there. Like,
okay,
tons of comics. I mean, there's
that kind of sounds annoying to be honest, but
dude, there's so many Marvel tables on there too. You're being a big comic book guy. There's a Moon Knight table.
That's a deep cut.
Yeah, there's a
I guess
Blade
it won't be soon,
table. But... Yeah, the Blade table is actually really good. But I mean, all the Avengers, like, you should just download the client and just go take a look.
Maybe. It doesn't sound like there's any DC representation, however.
Not that I can remember. No DC. I imagine that's a licensing name. But I mean, you'd be shocked how many licenses are in there. There's a Portal table. There's an Aliens table. There's a Back to the Future table. There's a Walking Dead table. There's an American Dad table. There's a Family Guy table. I mean, there's tons of these licensed tables.
They got it hooked up with Disney, it sounds like.
Yeah, they really do. All right, so those are the only new games we've been playing. We're going to go ahead and move on. Can't stress enough. Play Shovel Knight in any capacity, whether you play the current one, whether you play the new one, play that. And if you love pinball, just buy everything that Zen Studios does.
It turns out they're pretty good.
Yeah, they're really good at what they're doing. And I'm really stoked to hear what you think after playing more Shovel Knight.
I'll definitely get through King of Cards first. But I'm in it, man.
Cool.
You know, look about using this vacation, maybe get through Shenmue 3, but I gotta say, it's gonna be tempting. It would be hard not to pick up King of Cards.
Oh, we gotta play something here, man. We gotta get you over here. Like, can we just have a day where we just sit in here and we eat junk food, play games all day?
I mean, that sounds tremendous to me.
Yeah. Are you gonna really pull away?
Here, do you own Masters of Terrascasi?
No, why would I? I don't want to play that game.
That just sounds like a game you would own. It just sounds so terrible that I've always wanted to play it.
I'm sure that Chris Berensmeyer owns a copy of it that we can get a hold of.
Yeah, I'm sure that's true. It is a video game after all.
Bust that out. Isn't that PS1?
I think it is.
Oh man, that'd be a fun one to stream, wouldn't it?
See what I'm saying? Yeah. This is See if it's as bad as people say.
Maybe that's what we should do. We should just like stack up on a bunch of games that aren't for us to prep for some Patreon episodes and just play them co-op, because like this is the only chance every year I'm going to get to hang out with you.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, we should do something that we could use for the site later.
Yeah, just do a bunch of like games that aren't for us. Take some notes, stream it.
I really want you to break the seal on Grand Theft Auto 3.
That would would be a good one, man. Yeah, that would be a good one.
That would be fascinating.
Yeah,
because it's so revolutionary, eye-opening when it came out, and for my generation.
Well, yeah, because weren't the first two Grand Theft Autos just like top-down,
exactly,
like literally cars?
Then GTA 3 came along and changed the world, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, man. Well, that is going to do it for this episode of The Gaming Outsider. Any parting words, recommendations for the listeners?
I'm just excited to see the last word in the story of Skywalker.
I'm stoked too, man. I can't wait to text like a 12-year-old girl after that movie's out.
Yeah, I really wish I had anything more insightful to say, but I can't stop thinking about Star Wars right now.
I hear you.
Mandalorian's coming a day or 2 days early this week.
And I know we disagree on this, but I love that last episode of The Mandalorian. I thought Bill Burr was great. Yeah,
it was probably my least favorite episode of the season, but I mean, even an average episode of The Mandalorian is still a great treat to have.
Yeah, I really wish my wife refuses to watch it.
Why?
She's like Star Wars'd out. She's like, Star Wars is very sacred to her, and this like pumping out a new Star Wars movie every 2 years, and the Solos and the Rogue Ones, and actually, I mean, we've had a new Star Wars movie every year,
Right, since the Disneyification.
Right, and she's tired of it, and she's like, no, these feel less special to her because they're coming out so frequently.
I could see her point, however, I want it all.
So do I.
There is no bad Star Wars.
Have you seen the Ewok movie? Have you seen the Christmas special?
Okay, those don't count. Get out of here with this.
I watched the Star Wars Christmas special for the first time last year. Oh
yeah?
My God. Have you ever seen it before?
I have, yes. Yes, it is.
That is ridiculously awful.
I remember enjoying the Boba Fett bit.
I don't even remember the Boba Fett bit. All I can remember is like an entire scene with Wookiees that is not subtitled, and you're supposed to follow along.
Yes.
And figure out what's going on. And then there's like a dancing something on the chess table for like a solid 8 minutes. I'm like, what am I watching?
No, when you think of Star Wars, you don't think of that. You think of the movies, you think of the cartoon shows, you think of the video game.
Cartoon shows.
Clone Wars is so good, Scott. I haven't seen Rebels yet.
Watch that,
but I will.
I'm surprised you haven't. That's impressive.
Well, it's impressive. Oh, I see what you did there. I find your lack of faith in these cartoon shows disturbing. Well, Rebels is basically a sequel to Clone Wars, so you gotta watch all of Clone Wars first.
I swear, everybody, after Rise of Skywalker releases, this will turn less into a Star Wars podcast. But you have to understand that Zach and I are like massive Star Wars nerds. I mean, I can't quote, like, I couldn't have spelled Kashyyyk before 10 years ago, but I'm so beyond excited. We promise we'll talk less about it.
I do not promise. I feel like there will be stuff to discuss afterwards.
Well, if you stuck around this long, thanks so much for listening. Please be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns. Our address is feedback@thegamingoutsider.com. And also, if you are a fan of football and the Green Bay Packers, please check out my other podcast, the Packers Fan Podcast, which you can hear the same place you listen to this very show. Until next week, I'm Scott Clark with Zach Parkerson, and we are the Gaming Outsider. And remember, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.
Ooh, I like you bringing it down.